The void above Acheron station shimmered with the cold light of distant suns, but the darkness between was far from empty. Humanity's last outpost clung to the jagged surface of the planet like a wounded animal, battered by the constant storms and scarred from decades of siege. The monitors flickered with warnings, the hum of damaged generators filling the silence between distant rumbles of alien artillery. Across the galactic expanse, the Council's fleets had written humanity off, convinced that one more strike would end the stubborn, defiant species once and for all. Yet the people of Acheron did not despair. They never had. Their resilience was a heartbeat that refused to be silenced. A rhythm that echoed in the bones of every soldier, engineer, and child huddled in the underground shelters. From orbit, the enemy's dreadnoughts loomed, casting shadows like eclipses, their weapons systems trained, their confidence absolute. The Council had never faced humans like these, flesh, blood, and stubborn ingenuity against fleets of perfect machines, against artificial intelligence that calculated death with chilling precision. Every surface of the station bore the scars of prior attacks, every system a testament to survival against impossible odds. Engineers scrambled, patching shields, rerouting power, improvising devices that pulsed with a defiance only human hands could conjure. The station itself seemed alive, straining against the void, as though it understood that the souls inside mattered more than the walls that held them. A child's laugh echoed from a lower corridor, faint but piercing in the tense air, and it struck every soldier as a reminder that they were not merely fighting for territory or resources, they were fighting for legacy, for the fragile, radiant stubbornness that made humans human. Outside, the alien ships pulsed with energy that promised annihilation, but the people of Acheron Station did not flinch. In the command hub, a human captain traced a line of flight vectors with a trembling finger, knowing that every move could mean extinction. Yet in that same trembling was a spark, an unyielding certainty that the galaxy had underestimated them, and that underestimating humans was a mistake no species could afford to repeat. The first salvo tore through the upper defenses, and the station shuddered violently. Smoke spiraled through the corridors, alarms shrieked in fractured harmony, and humans clung to every ledge, every conduit, improvising survival in the face of calculated destruction. They fought with ingenuity, using gravity fields, magnetic repulsors, and jury-rigged energy cannons to turn the alien assault into chaos. Even when hope seemed to falter, when the Council's forces pressed their advantage, a silent determination anchored every heartbeat. Humanity did not merely survive, it adapted, it retaliated, it refused the finality the galaxy had promised. And somewhere in the shadow of the storms, beyond the reach of Council sensors, the distant signals of the Deathworlders began to stir, moving through the void with a promise that would change everything. The storm above Acheron Station raged as if the planet itself had sensed the gathering of fate. Lightning forked across violet skies, illuminating jagged peaks and shattered alien sentinels, but below, humanity endured. Soldiers moved with a fluid precision born of desperation and instinct, patching shields and redirecting power to keep the station alive. Every human hand worked against time and tide. Every mind calculated the improbable, and every heart refused surrender. The Council's fleet, vast and relentless, expected fear, expected capitulation, but what they encountered instead was a machine of ingenuity that bore the imprint of human stubbornness. Outside the hull, squads of specialized humans prepared for orbital insertion, their dropships humming like living insects against the vacuum of space. They would descend onto the Council's command vessels, not as pawns, but as predators. In cramped cockpits, pilots adjusted trajectory thrusters with trembling precision, eyes reflecting the kaleidoscope of alien weapons fire. Each ship carried within it the essence of humanity, courage, improvisation, and a refusal to yield even when every statistical model declared them defeated. Below them, the surface of Acheron Station shivered under bombardment, yet its lights burned stubbornly in the storm, a signal to all who would watch that humans were not so easily extinguished. Deep in the command hub, engineers devised a desperate plan. Magnetic flux cannons, scavenged from derelict Council drones, were rerouted to amplify the station's defensive grids. The schematics were incomplete, the materials unstable, yet the humans worked without hesitation, improvising with the precision of artists and the urgency of survivors. Around them, the air buzzed with tension, punctuated by the distant mechanical wails of alien warships. Every system brought online was a defiance, every calculation a slap at the arrogance of an empire that had counted humans as insignificant. And as the first makeshift cannon fired, tearing through the void toward an enemy vessel, a small cheer echoed through the halls, a spark of human triumph amidst the chaos. Above the planet, the Council's dreadnoughts faltered as the tide shifted subtly but unmistakably. Calculations had predicted easy victory. What they did not predict was adaptability, creativity, and the audacity to fight against impossible odds. Communications scrambled, sensors overloaded, and alien captains stared in disbelief as human ingenuity turned their own weapons into hazards. And then, from the dark reaches of the void, the Deathworlders emerged. Their massive hulls, scarred and gleaming with the energy of countless battles, pierced the storm like harbingers of reckoning. They had come for humans, but not as council pawns. They came as allies of the indomitable, as witnesses to the truth that one species, small and underestimated, could change the balance of a galaxy with nothing but courage, intelligence, and resolve. The Deathworlders descended through Acheron's roiling skies like titans waking from slumber, their immense forms casting shadows that swallowed the Council's fleet whole. Lightning flickered across their armored hulls, revealing scars of countless battles, proof of survival, of cunning, of lessons learned across worlds hostile enough to challenge them. Humanity watched from the battered stations, awe and fear mingling in every glance, yet tempered by the unwavering certainty that their saviors were not gentle gods but warriors who understood the stakes of defiance. The ground trembled beneath the approaching giants, and every human soldier, engineer, and pilot felt the pulse of hope surge through their veins. Steady and resolute, orbital drop pods pierced the clouds, plunging through storms that seemed intent on swallowing them, while human marksmen calibrated their weapons to intercept the Council's interceptors. The battlefield became a ballet of fire and metal, a choreography of survival and audacity. Every human move was precise yet unpredictable, bending the rigid expectations of the alien fleets. Improvised minefields, magnetic nets, and gravitational distortions turned enemy formations into chaos. Even the Council's most advanced AI struggled to adapt, overwhelmed by a species that calculated not only with logic but with instinct, intuition, and a refusal to surrender to probability. Humanity's resilience became a weapon more potent than any laser or missile, a proof that courage can redefine the rules of engagement. On the surface, the Deathworlders unleashed their own arsenal, not as mindless destruction but with surgical precision. Vast kinetic weapons ripped through the Council's fortifications, while energy tendrils neutralized orbital cannons threatening Acheron's population centers. The aliens and humans moved in synchrony, a reluctant harmony forged by shared purpose. Engineers coordinated with alien tacticians, pilots dodged fire in tandem with giant war machines, and civilians found safety amidst the devastation, guided by both human ingenuity and the deadly wisdom of the Deathworlders. In this crucible, humanity's endurance was amplified, every act of survival echoing across the battlefield like a pulse of defiance. The Council's command nodes, once secure and impenetrable, faltered under this combined assault. Communications collapsed, shields flickered, and confidence crumbled into desperation. They had believed themselves invincible, unchallenged, their dominion absolute, yet here stood humans, small, resolute, fearless, and beside them, beings whose very existence was forged in death worlds more cruel than any Council engineer could imagine. And as the first Council flagship erupted into brilliant shards of energy, the universe itself seemed to pause, acknowledging a truth the arrogant had ignored: underestimation of humanity was a fatal error. Every human heart that beat, every mind that schemed, every hand that fought, became a testament that hope, when wielded with courage, can bend fate itself. The battlefield became a storm of light and shadow, a chaotic symphony of human ingenuity and Deathworlder fury against the calculated precision of the Council's fleets. Asteroids ripped from orbit collided with alien warships, redirected by magnetic grapples improvised from station debris. Humans navigated debris fields as if born to dance through destruction, while Deathworlder artillery cut swaths through enemy ranks with merciless efficiency. The Council's tactical AI struggled to anticipate every move, every improvisation, every heartbeat of unpredictability. Ships designed for conquest found themselves ensnared in a web of human audacity, forced to retreat, recalibrate, and flounder against a species that refused to be rationally measured or subdued. From the surface, humanity watched the sky fracture with explosions that painted clouds in fire and violet energy. Engineers coordinated orbital strikes with sniper precision, linking human calculations to Deathworlder sensors in an unprecedented synchronization. Each destroyed enemy vessel was not merely a victory but a statement. Humanity endured, and with allies forged in the crucible of cosmic danger, even the mightiest empires could be challenged. Families huddled in shelters watched as their protectors, both human and alien, turned fear into hope, destruction into a defense of everything they held dear. In the chaos, human adaptability shone brightest. Pilots used gravity wells to redirect enemy fire. Technicians rerouted power through unstable conduits to keep vital systems online, and soldiers in exosuits struck from shadows with uncanny precision, proving that resourcefulness could be a weapon as lethal as any cannon. Above, the Council's command ships began to fracture, their communications in disarray as humans exploited every flaw with audacity and precision. The Deathworlders, colossal and relentless, tore through the fleet with unstoppable momentum, yet never mindless. Every strike was measured, every move calculated, yet imbued with the instinct born of worlds where only the strongest survived. Humans matched their rhythm, improvising in tandem, transforming desperation into strategy. Improvisation into artistry. The air vibrated with the resonance of combined forces, a pulse that rippled across Acheron and into the void, signaling to all watchers, humanity would not only survive, they would rise, and the galaxy would remember. As the day gave way to nights fractured by energy flares and alien debris, a subtle shift became undeniable. The Council's dominance, once thought absolute, now trembled. Systems that had not faltered in centuries collapsed under the pressure of combined ingenuity. Even the most ruthless commanders began to grasp a terrifying reality: they had underestimated the human spirit. Humanity's defiance was not mere stubbornness, it was a force that could turn tides, bend probability, and ignite courage in the hearts of allies. And in the eye of the storm, atop the jagged surface of Acheron, human eyes met the glowing gaze of the Deathworlders, an unspoken agreement passing between species forged by battle. This was only the beginning. The final push began as Acheron's battered skies ignited in a storm of fury and fire. The Council's remaining dreadnoughts, battered but unbroken, sought to crush the human and Deathworlder alliance with relentless barrages. Yet humanity moved like a living storm, every action unpredictable, every strategy improvised in real time. Drop pods tore through plasma fire, deploying specialized units who scaled alien hulls with magnetic grips, disabling weapons and overriding systems from within. Engineers on the surface rerouted energy through unstable conduits to amplify shield grids, while pilots threaded through debris and explosions with uncanny precision. Each maneuver, each act of defiance, was a testament to the unyielding human spirit, a demonstration that creativity could become a weapon more deadly than any laser. The Deathworlders moved in tandem, titanic forms slicing through enemy formations with brutal elegance, their strikes precise and devastating. Energy arcs lit the sky as alien ships collapsed into pyres of burning metal, and the Council's calculated responses became increasingly desperate, fragmented by the unpredictable ingenuity of humans and their allies. On the ground, civilians watched the war unfold through observation ports, their fear tempered by awe, their hope rekindled by the resolve of a species that refused to be extinguished. Humans coordinated with the Deathworlders in a silent harmony, an alliance forged not by diplomacy but by necessity, by shared understanding that survival demanded audacity, intelligence, and unflinching courage. In orbit, the tide turned irrevocably. The Council's flagship, a leviathan of dark alloys and pulsating weapons arrays, faced the combined assault of human ingenuity and Deathworlder might. Gravity wells created from repurposed station cores tore through its armor, while human strike teams infiltrated its hull. sabotaging systems from within. Lightning flashed across the planet's surface, illuminating scenes of human and alien warriors working side by side, their silhouettes etched against the storms. The flagship's defenses collapsed piece by piece, its crew overwhelmed not by numbers alone, but by a relentless assault driven by ingenuity, instinct, and the raw force of human audacity. And in that moment, the galaxy seemed to shift, acknowledging that even empires that had spanned light years were vulnerable to the persistence of one species that refused to surrender. As the Council's fleet fractured and retreated into the void, Acheron Station stood battered but unbroken. Smoke and energy arcs painted the skies. But the people within cheered not for destruction, but for survival, for triumph against impossible odds. Every soldier, engineer, pilot, and civilian bore witness to a truth that no calculation could ever capture. Humanity's strength lay not in numbers or firepower, but in their unyielding creativity, courage, and refusal to bow. The Deathworlders lingered, massive forms casting protective shadows over the planet, their presence a promise and a warning that humanity, once underestimated, could reshape the fate of the galaxy. The void beyond Acheron settled into an uneasy silence, punctuated only by the drifting wreckage of the Council's shattered fleet. Humanity's forces moved with careful precision, securing the station, salvaging technology, and tending to the wounded with the same relentless dedication that had carried them through the storm. Pilots returned from orbital sorties, faces streaked with grime and determination, carrying tales of ships toppled not by overwhelming firepower, but by human ingenuity and instinct. Engineers adjusted fragile conduits and patchwork shields, their hands steady even as sparks arced around them, proof that survival was not a miracle but a mastery of resilience. The Deathworlders hovered silently above, their colossal forms reflecting the violet storms that still roiled the sky, guardians who had witnessed humanity's defiance and recognized its unique power. In the command hub, leaders of humanity charted the aftermath, tracing the ruin of an empire that had thought itself invincible. Every calculation, every prediction, had failed to account for the unpredictable heartbeat of human courage. Plans once considered impossible had been executed in real time: orbital sabotage, ground reinforcements, improvised weaponry, and coordination with the Deathworlders had combined to overturn fate itself. The galaxy had watched, expecting humans to falter, and instead had witnessed a species that thrived in adversity, adapting to every threat, turning desperation into strategy, and fear into fuel. Humanity's victory was not merely tactical, it was moral and existential, a declaration that intelligence, creativity, and heart were forces no machine or empire could fully anticipate. Outside, the storms began to wane, revealing the battered but unbroken surface of Acheron. Smoke rose from shattered alien vessels and scorched terrain, painting the sky with streaks of gold and violet. Humans emerged from shelters and corridors, faces lifted to the stars, hearts still hammering with the echoes of battle. They had endured annihilation, defied calculation, and stood unbowed in the wake of a fleet that had believed victory was inevitable. The Deathworlders landed briefly, their immense forms moving with a quiet dignity, acknowledging the courage that had driven humans to heights even they had not anticipated. There was no triumphal roar, only a profound understanding, shared between species that recognized power in resilience, and intelligence in audacity. The Council, scattered and broken, would retreat, but the message was clear. Humanity's defiance had reshaped the balance of the galaxy. Calculations would be rewritten, strategies reconsidered, and caution restored, for one species had proven that heart, intellect, and creativity could overcome the most insurmountable odds. The echoes of the battle lingered, a testament to ingenuity, to perseverance, and to the indomitable spark that defined humanity. And as the storms finally broke, a lone human voice, carried across the silent corridors of Acheron Station, seemed to whisper the eternal truth. Even in the darkest void, humanity's light could not be extinguished, and so, the galaxy learned that underestimating a human was a lesson written in fire, courage, and the unyielding beat of a defiant heart.